in Poppy's Kitchen. Join us today as we continue our journey to find gluten-free recipes that we like. So today's menu is going to include apple cinnamon pork chops, roasted Brussels sprouts, we're going to have smashed potatoes, and then we're going to try billowy soft honey rolls, gluten-free, yes, you heard me right, and then we'll end that with gluten-free brownies. So I've made two of these things before, the Brussels sprouts and the smashed potatoes. Family favorites here. But I haven't made the rest. So we're going to start with the honey rolls because they are made with yeast, which I'm going to need to let rise. So it's going to take a little bit. So if you don't bake, if you hear yeast and rolls and all of that and you go, oh, there's no way, just watch me do it, see if you think you can do it. This is my first time, so we'll learn together. And if not, just go buy yourself some gluten-free rolls. Okay, let's get started. The official name for this sounds delicious. It's Fluffy Gluten-Free Milk Honey Rolls. Sounds fantastic. Let's see how it goes. Alright, so it says to mix a 1 1/4 cup milk with 1/3 cup of honey, and then we're going to put it in the microwave for 25 seconds. So you're going to add 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, and of course I'll link the recipe to the bottom of this. So I'm going to get the yeast ready and get that warmed up, and we'll be right back. Okay, so it said 25 seconds, and I did that, but it was still cold, and it's supposed to be a little bit warm to activate the yeast. If you've never worked with yeast before, you want the liquid that you add it to be what I would call lukewarm, like what the water temperature you would want for a small baby in the bathtub. You can put your finger in it, no harm of burning it. It's just warm enough to activate the yeast. So we're going to put 2 teaspoons of yeast. And if you get the packets, like me, it's almost the whole packet. Measure it because it says 2 teaspoons. Alright, so we are going to stir this and then let it sit for 5 minutes until it gets bubbly. So it's like a little science experiment. So this is one of the reasons I love cooking. It's just fun. So I've got that activating, and it'll be 5 minutes, and then we'll do the rest. So we'll be right back. So it's been a little bit more than 5 minutes because I was waiting on it to get bubbly. Mine's not bubbly, it's like frothy on top, but like I was expecting bubbles. Okay, we'll see how this goes. See, baking's fun. It's an experiment. It's a process. It's a journey. Let's see how it goes. So we're going to add our yeast mixture, and then we'll put a stick of melted butter, 1/2 cup, and then 2 eggs. And I'm going to mix mine with my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, it says you can mix it by hand. Also, if you had a little hand mixer, that would be fine. For years, I held out on getting a stand mixer, just didn't think I really needed it. And now that I have it, I couldn't do without it. So anyways, we're going to mix this on low to medium just to get it combined. And then we're going to add 4 cups of the gluten-free flour and a teaspoon of salt. And when you add flour to a wet mixture, you add a little bit at a time. It didn't say that in this recipe, but by experience, especially experience with cooking with my grandchildren, you add a little bit at a time, or else it just flies right back up into your face and gets all over your kitchen. So let's not do that. So I'm going to add the flour, and I'm going to start mixing, and then we'll be back in just a second. So this is my last cup of flour that I'm adding. I added it about a cup at a time, and I've already added the teaspoon of salt. So we're going to mix it slowly. I didn't want y'all to have to listen to the mixer for that long. So we're going to add it slowly. It did not say how long to mix it. So I'm just looking, because we're going to be pulling it apart into 12 little rolls and letting it rise. So it looks good and mixed, good and together. So I'm just going to stop it here. What it says is we're going to get this, and we are going to roll it into 12 balls and put it on a parchment lined baking sheet. So let's just see. Okay, I can already tell it's really gooey. I'm going to need some flour on my hands. don't want it sticking to your hands. Get some flour, put it on there. Okay, yes, much better. Get some flour on your hands before you do this. Okay, so 12 of these. I'm going to start doing this. Oh, this is so gooey. I don't know if I'm doing this right. We will see here in a little bit. But I'm going to do 12 of these, and then I'll be back. I've got 12 patted out. I've got a little bit more, and there's one that's a little smaller, so I'm just going to show you what I did. So I put gluten-free flour on my plate, and I hate wasting my gluten-free flour to dust my hands with, because between the price of gluten-free ingredients and the cost of eggs, Michi Poppy going broke over here. But anyway, so you dust your hands, put some gluten-free flour on your hands. I had a little bit more here, and this one needs a little bit more. So you just take it and this is what I did. I just kind of did it between my hands like this, and it formed a ball. Plop it on the parchment paper, and we're going to loosely cover them with plastic wrap and allow them to rise. So we're going to rise the rolls for 40 to 45 minutes. So what she does is she preheats the oven to 200 degrees and then turns it off, which I've had mine preheated, and now I'm turning it off. So I'm going to cover the rolls with plastic wrap, then place them in the warm oven. So this may not be needed in the hotter summer months, especially in Alabama. They rise for 40 to 45 minutes, and then we will put a little egg wash on the top of them, bake them at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes, and we'll see how this goes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Woohoo! So my rolls have risen. I was hoping they would do that. That means the yeast did its thing. So now I'm going to make an egg wash, which is just whisking an egg like this till you get it all whisked up. And you put an egg wash on top of the rolls. Do this while I've got the camera in my hand. This is precarious. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I think I squished it a little too hard. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down so I can do this more gently. So we'll put an egg wash on all of them. What did it say? 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, so in the picture of the rolls that I saw on Pinterest, she had some little sprinkled oats on there, and I thought it was pretty, so I did that too. It's just gluten-free oats, sprinkled them on there. Maybe I should have only done that on half. Anyway, this is a learning process. All right, here we go. About to put them in. Okay, so now for the potatoes. These are called crispy smashed potatoes, and they are so good. I make this for my family sometimes, and my youngest daughter always requests it because they're delicious. So you're going to start with a bag of new potatoes, small potatoes. They're about this big. You find them with the other potatoes. You need them small because we're going to boil them, and then when they get soft enough, we're going to strain them, drain the water out of it, and then we're going to smash them with the bottom of a cup. It's fun. So we're going to place the potatoes in a large pot with water. We're going to heat it on high until it is boiling, and then we're going to boil for 20 to 25 minutes. So it says to go ahead and put them in there before it comes to a boil. And then I'm going to let this come to a boil. We're going to boil them for 20 to 25 minutes, and then we get to do the fun stuff. We get to smash them. All right, be back in a little bit. Okay, now for the fun part of the smashed potatoes. So you're going to get a large pan. Okay, so I finished cooking them. I drained them, left them in the colander for just a few minutes to cool off a little bit, or else you're going to burn your hands. And then I sprayed a large pan, poured them onto the large pan, and it's the fun part. You just put them there. You get a glass with a pretty wide, flat bottom. No jokes here. And you squash them. And you squish it. And it's fun. And just get out your aggressions. Think of what you'd like to squish in your life. Squish. Squish. It's really fun. Like, don't go all the way down to the pan. Like, don't make them paper thin. But just squish them till you like the thickness of it. Okay, once they're squished. How many times can you say squish? you take 3 tablespoons of melted butter. It says salted butter, but I never have salted butter, so this is unsalted, but we're going to add salt and pepper anyway. All right, so 3 tablespoons of this, and you just drizzle it over. Just share the love. Just drizzle it over the taters, the smashed taters. And then you're going to take 2 tablespoons of olive oil and do the same thing. Now, Miji does not measure when it comes to drizzling olive oil. So I'm just going to drizzle till it looks like they're happy. And then I'll put some salt and pepper on them. And then we will be back to tell you. Okay, so I have sufficiently drizzled and salted and peppered these. And now I'm going to put them in a 425 degree oven for about 35 minutes, it says. So I'll just put them in there with the Brussels sprouts at the same time and cook those together. The rolls are cooking now. As soon as I take those out, I'll preheat the oven to 425 and then put these 2 things in. And then I'll start on the pork chops. And then as we finish the pork chops and the sides, I'll put the brownies in because it only takes 20 minutes and you like warm brownies anyway, right? So as we're eating dinner, I'll be cooking the brownies. And it'll all end up just perfectly timed. That's one of the hardest parts about a meal to me is when you're having people over, which I am. I'm having my mom and dad over. My dad turns 90 next month, and cutest, sweetest man you've ever seen in your life. And my mom is 85, and she's this little feisty, funny redhead. And so between dad's this little quiet, humble man, and mom, this feisty, funny lady, they are the duo to have over, and they always make me feel so good about my food. They make me feel like I'm the best cook, which I know it's just your mom and dad have a heightened opinion of your qualities. So anyway, but it's always fun to have them over and hear the compliments. But anyway, so we'll do all that. But what I was saying is it's just hard when you're trying to time things. I told them to be over at a certain time, and so you want to have it ready, and that's what I always have to think about. I have to look at each recipe and see how long it's going to take and how what the temperature for the oven needs to be and how long and I try to do that together. Just a little hint in case you're new to cooking. All right, I'll do all this. I'm about to start the pork chops, so I'll show you that. Okay, so now for the Brussels sprouts. You take your Brussels sprouts. This is the way that I like to do it. It's roasted Brussels sprouts. And when I was a little girl, if you would have told me that I would ever be making Brussels sprouts in my whole life, I would have laughed at you. I hated the smell of Brussels sprouts. I hated Brussels sprouts. But then, I don't know how long ago was it that I learned probably with olive oil and salt and pepper. So when I learned about that, I started making them, roasting Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and my life has never been the same. I would rather have those than French fries. I'm not kidding, but I'm not a big French fry person. But anyway, so what I do, this is how I do it. I don't know how everybody else does it, but this is how I do it. I cut off the end, and I'm sorry, I can't zoom in on this, but I cut off the end of it, and you'll know what I'm talking about when you do it, the end. And then I cut mine into small slivers. I know a lot of people just cut them in half, and that's fine. I like them cut in half too, but this is my favorite way. So I cut off the end and watch your fingers, of course. Just cut them into little narrow bites. Now this one's small, so I probably will just do it in half. And when the little leaves fall off, put them on the pan. They get crispy and brown. Oh my goodness, they're so good. So let me cut these and I'll be right back. I got them all chopped, got them on the pan. If you noticed, I didn't have to do anything to the pan. I didn't have to spray it or anything because I'm gonna drizzle olive oil on it. I wish I could tell you how much. I have never measured. I just kind of look and see, and then I just get my hands in there, just do them all up, and you just want them all to be covered with olive oil. Doesn't have to be dripping or anything. Just make sure, look, they're all just a little shiny. Just get them all a little shiny. And then I'm going to put salt and pepper. A lot of people put other things, additional things, but this is a half of a teaspoon, so it looks like this is all I'm going to use. So I must put about a half a teaspoon of salt and then some pepper. My little pepper pot is empty. I just thought of that. I love having a little salt and pepper pot beside me because that just helps cook. That's just so much easier than trying to shake everything out. So anyway, get them all covered with salt and pepper, olive oil, and then I'm going to put them in a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. And in between, like about 10 minutes in, I take a spatula and kind of stir it up because the ones around the edge get really dark and crispy, which I love, but I want everybody to share the love. So I just mix it all together so other ones can get on the outside edge and get dark and crispy the way that I love it. All right, so I'm going to do that. Be back in a minute. Okay, so now for the apple cinnamon pork chops. Okay, I have thin cut boneless pork chops. It just said 4 pork chops, but I have like 9 of these. So we'll just kind of adjust the recipe as we go. But you salt and pepper both sides of it. You heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a skillet, and once it gets good and hot, which I can tell it is, you put the pork chops in there. If it's a regular size, regular cut pork chop, it says to leave it in there 4 to 5 minutes on both sides. But these won't take that long. These are very thin, so I'll just leave these a couple of minutes on each side. But you want them, done, but it doesn't take pork chops long to do, and a skillet of hot olive oil. So we'll do this, then I'll come back. Okay, so the pork chops are done. So now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter to the pan, let that melt. And then what I'm going to do is you're supposed to have 2 sliced large apples. So what I did is I cored the apple and then I just sliced it into big slices. I don't know how you were supposed to do it, but that's how I did it. So we're going to let the butter melt and then add the apples until they're good and caramelized, it says. Put those in. And then we're going to put 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and stir all that together. And then we'll add the pork chops again and get it all mixed together. When my kids were growing up, I'd get those hams, the big ham slices, and I would put brown sugar and orange juice on it. Delicious. But my daughter thought it was so weird that I put orange juice in ham. So we'll see how the apples on pork chops are going to be. Apples and cinnamon and sugar. She would probably die. Okay, so I'm going to let that caramelize, and I'll add the rest of the stuff, and I'll put it all in there, and I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so these have gotten good and caramelized. I'm putting in the 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and the teaspoon of cinnamon. Stir that all up. Poppy just got home. Nana and Papa about to come over. And this is smelling good. It smells so good with that cinnamon. Alright, so then it says to add pork chops and just cook it all together for a few minutes, just to kind of get the pork chops covered in this. And then it'll be done. Everything will be ready, and I will show y'all what it looks like when it's all put together. Okay, now for maybe the best part, the gluten-free fudgy brownies. Okay, so first you're going to take a stick of butter, half of a cup, and you're going to mix it with a cup of sugar. And you whisk that together until it's good and combined. And then you're going to add 2 eggs to that. Whisk it together. And then you're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Again, this is my homemade vanilla. I promised y'all a video how to make this. I'll do that soon. I love this stuff. I only have this and 1 more of these left. And truly, like, if I have to go to store-bought vanilla after having homemade vanilla, I will cry. So I will make a video soon how to do this so I can make myself some more. Okay, so whisk that together. Then you're going to add the dry ingredients together, which is a cup of, they said almond milk, but I meant almond flour, or gluten-free flour. I'm doing the gluten-free flour because Phil and I did keto, or Poppy and I did keto a few years ago, and we used almond flour for things. I did not care for it. That's just me. You may love almond flour, but I'm going to try the gluten-free flour for this. Okay, so we have a cup of gluten-free flour, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. Let's see, what else? Then you have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So you're going to mix that together. And then you're going to add let's see, the dry ingredients to the wet. And it says we're going to, does it say we whisk it together? No, we're just going to stir it together, but it says not to overmix because that'll make it denser than you want it. So we will not overmix. It's like most brownies. You know, most brownies, even if you make it with a mix, it tells you only to stir it a certain amount of times. That's why, because they can get dense on you. Okay, so I'm going to stir this together, not too much, and then I'm going to put it in a greased, it calls for 8x8 pan. When it's something like this and it calls for an 8x8, I like this one for some reason. I don't even know what size to call this. This is just like my little oval. It's not a 9x13. It just makes a little bit more brownies. They may not be as thick, but I don't know. I just like the shape of that one. You know how everybody has their favorite little pot or dish or whatever? That's mine. Okay, so I'm going to mix this. Got to keep mixing this because I said not mix it too much, but look, it's like not mixing together too well. I feel like I need some more liquid or something, but this is all it called for. It's very thick. Brownie mix is thick, isn't it? I've just never made homemade brownies. I always get a package when I make brownies. And add what? Like eggs and oil to it, and that's all you do? Okay, so you're going to put that in the pan, and then we're going to bake it at 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. Oh, no way! It said you could add chocolate chips. So when something says you can add more chocolate, why not? Okay, let's add these chocolate chips. Just, you know, little, when you're going to bite into a little melted chocolate. Who doesn't love that? Okay, now I will put it in my pan and bake it 350 for 20 to 25 minutes. And when all this is ready, I'll show you the end product. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that it is going to be good, because like I said, we're learning this together. I have never had to go gluten-free, and besides like the brownies, everything else like could be on a regular menu, right? Like the pork chops, there's nothing gluten-free per se in that. It's just, I'll show you that in a minute, apples and cinnamon and all that, so nothing gluten-free. I mean, nothing that you have to use special gluten-free ingredients. The potatoes, just regular potatoes, okay. Brussels sprouts, nothing. Oh, the rolls. Okay, so the rolls are special too. gluten-free special. But besides that, I mean, you can, if you're not on a gluten-free diet, either make yourself, just find yourself a recipe for yeast rolls, or go out and buy some. But we're going to try these because for those of us who are on a gluten-free diet, and let's see if they're any good. For some reason that just looks like it needs more oil or something. But we'll try it and see, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it turns out. All right, be right back. All right, how was the meal?
It was delicious.
What'd you like?
I'm going to see if the doctor. Yeah, we liked it all. I'm going to see if the doctor would give me a shot for celiac. I think it's.
You don't want
Let
that.
Mary be my cook.
It's all delicious.
What'd you like
Excellent.
best?
The pork chop, the roll, and the potatoes.
You left the Brussels sprouts out.
They were okay.
Phil. Did y'all like the Brussels sprout?
Oh, they were
They were
delicious.
delicious.
Everything, even the rolls.
Yeah,
Mary
the
Gill
roll
made
was really good.
was really good.
All right, now we're tasting the brownie. What do y'all think about the brownie?
It's as good
Is
as any
it?
brownie I've ever tasted.
It had a different texture when I cut
okay.
them. But
Now,
is it
you had
good?
Sugar-free,
It is?
sugar-free ice cream on it.
Okay.
Ice cream?
No, I'm just teasing.
All right, enjoy your meal.
Thank you. We will. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time to do dishes. One thing that I've always loved about Poppy is that if I cook, he cleans. I help some, but he does most of it.
Yeah, like 90% of it. So she just keeps stacking up the dishes.
All right, so that was a really good meal. The pork chops were just really tasty with the apples and cinnamon. That made it different, but really good. The rolls I thought were delicious.
You couldn't tell it was a gluten-free meal. I mean, it was so good. Everything was just normal tasting to me. So, or even better than normal tasting. These rolls were excellent.
Yeah, you could taste the honey, and those were really good. The
Yeah.
potatoes are always a hit. We've had those before. Those are delicious. I could, like I said, could eat my weight in Brussels sprouts. And then the brownies, the three of them loved them. I had a little texture issue with them, but they were good. The flavor was really good. It just, there was a little something with the texture, but it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really good.
I had no problem with the texture. It was delicious.
Okay, good. So we will keep finding more. In fact, while I was eating dinner, one of my daughters sent me a recipe that I want to try next because she said you could adapt it to a gluten-free meal. So that'll be next on the agenda.
Yep.
So looking forward to it.
Great job, Meiji.
Thank you. As always, thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.